Hello, here are the answers to yesterday's quiz. Excuse me, I got to go off camera and get my glasses. When you get older, that happens. I feel a little apologetic about this quiz because I wasn't as prepared as I might have been. I thought I would remember exactly which speeches they were. But anyway, here they come. One other thing I could maybe tell you before we get started on these answers is my strategy when I taught this material was to get Shakespeare into the kids' heads. So I would have practiced. I practiced with these kids. I quoted speeches and before we get going. That's part of the time that I've saved. I haven't really done that much, so they'd hear them again, and then they'd hear them in the test, and now they're going to hear them again. So little by little they hear these Shakespearean speeches. And ultimately, before the year's over, I expect the kids to quote some Shakespeare, and they're quite ready to probably quote some already. All right, so that's part of my strategy and the way I normally would teach this. Anyway, here come the answers. Number one, sigh no more, ladies, sigh no more, men were deceivers ever. Of course, that was Beatrice sitting in the tree. Number two, I would my horse had the speed of your tongue. That was Benedict. That was in that word play when they were going on, obviously. These are all so easy. Number three, I would my horse. You always did end, I know you of old, you always ended with a jade's trick. That was Beatrice. That was number three. Number four, I didn't quote this very well, but he talked about the fashion of the world is to avoid cost, and you embrace it. That was the prince when he went up to Leonato. Not that important a speech. I could have done better. I would rather be a canker in a hedge than a rose in his grace. It must not be denied that I am a plain-dealing villain. Don John. Silence, number six. Silence is the perfectest herald of joy. I were but little happy if I could say how much. Claudio. Number seven. Yea, poor fool, I thank it. It keeps on the windy side of care. That's Beatrice, talking about her heart. Of course, as you've now seen the movie, and her heart was not able to stay on the windy side of care. Another thing I could tell you about the way I give tests. When I give a test, I teach. This is still teach. Well, it always is. By giving the test the way I do, the teaching doesn't stop. I mean, it's just now people have to write some answers down. But number eight, I asked you to explain why was it that her mother cried. But the princess said, "Surely you were born in a merry hour." And she said, "No, my mother cried." Why? I don't want to keep saying the word obvious over and over again, but I really do think these should seem very easy. Number nine, you have fallen into a pit of ink. Why had I won? Why wast thou ever lovely in my eyes? I didn't quote that very well because that wasn't the speech. I sort of wish I'd used the one from the same character where he said, there was never yet philosopher that could endure the toothache patiently. But in any case, the answer was Leonato. Number 10, which character fell asleep in his own speech? That was Dogberry. Now that was a decision on Kenneth Branagh's part to direct it in that way so that the actor would do that. But it's kind of fun. And what woke him up, I don't know if you're comfortable with the word, but again, Kenneth Branagh's decision. He farted, woke himself up with his own fart. Pretty funny, I think. Number 11, what fire is in mine ear? That was Beatrice when she heard that Benedict would love her, or loved her. Number 12, now divine air, now is the soul ravished. Is it not strange that sheep's guts should hale souls out of men's bodies? Benedict, when he realizes that he's about to hear a love song. 13. What your wisdoms could not discover, these shallow fools have brought to light. That was Borachio, and you might have missed that. I think that's pretty clearly the hardest question in this pretty easy quiz. That's when he was in chains. And Masters, do not forget to specify when time and place shall serve that I am an ass. That was Dogberry. Of course, the kids love to quote that. They get such a boot. When I say they're going to have to quote some Shakespeare, they like to quote that one. Or when Conrad shouts at Dogberry, "You are an ass." That is quoting Shakespeare. When I was a kid, I guess I have time to tell you this. When I was a kid, ninth grader, I think maybe the first time I ever ran into Shakespeare, that was back in the 50s, I guess, or around 1960. I remember when I found out that there was a quote from Shakespeare that went, "Oh hell, what have we here?" That comes from The Merchant of Venice. And I remember my 8th grade or 9th grade teacher explaining that some guy was given an award for his work in Shakespeare. And he was asked, "Could you please quote some Shakespeare?" And his quote was, "Oh hell, what have we here?" See, I'm still teaching. Well, now I'm telling you the answers to the test, but testing is not punishment for me. Anyway, that was Dogberry. Number 15, Hear, Hear. Of course, that's Verges. A pun on the sound here. In the first place, it's here, like this. And in the second case, it's here comes. You'd spell them differently. But hear, hear, it's like I agree with that. I'll toast to that. The timing is what I think is so funny in that scene. 15 was Verges. 16, Serve God, love me, and mend. That was Benedict. 17, And surely as I live, I am a maid, says Hero. That was 17. 18, And man is a giddy thing. And this is my conclusion. I love that. Paper bullets of the brain. He knows that he's going to be worked over because he's railed against love. I really do like this play, and I love what Kenneth Branagh did with this play. Number 19, which character saved the day? Dogberry. That's what I think. And I like the fact that he's the dumbest, the grossest, the most disgusting character in the whole play. And yet, if it hadn't been for him, it would have been a disaster. Much ado about nothing. There was so much ado, so much fuss, so much trouble about nothing, and he exposed it. So when Borachio says, "What your wisdoms could not discover, these shallow fools have brought to light," there's where I think that he gives it away, that these are high and mighty people, they're educated, they're wealthy, they were fooled. But the stupid guys, Dogberry and his buddies, they exposed it. So I think Dogberry saved the day. Whatever answer you put down, call it right. I really don't care. Number 20, where was this set? Well, I've had some kids say Europe. Yeah, that's true. England. Now, that I say, no, it's not England. Sure, Shakespeare was English, but that wasn't set in England. It was set most specifically in Messina, or even more specifically on a villa, which would be fine, a villa in Messina, which is in Sicily, which is in Italy. I would expect that you might have written down Italy, or else on a villa. And which character, 21, which character was it that showed up only twice, and both times in a very similar way? Well, it was the messenger. In both cases, he rushed up with big news, right at the beginning of the play and right at the end. And why I like to ask about that is because I recognize a certain literary device called an echo. And I think that's an example of an echo. All right, this is the 8th day, the first video. I want to tell you that we have watched, I hope, a film version of a Shakespearean play. It is not the course. I think I know I explained to you that why I do that is because of just the scheduling of kids going to school and everything is so boring, and I figure I'll give them something different. But you know, if you wanted to consider this course, you can consider this a prelude, not an introduction, not a preface, not a dedication, but it's a prelude. And if you've missed it, if you haven't watched the play, all right, that's okay. I mean, it doesn't matter that much, because now, starting with the next video, the course will sort of start. It was a prelude. About 1/25 of the class. When I look at the number of days, it's not a big deal. I've got the class started. We have shared a classic. I hope we have. And that's more than almost anything else. I like to come away with thinking the kids realize that, whoa, Shakespeare, I've heard the name, but now I realize I can enjoy that. And I hope you've enjoyed that. I've got another video for today, but it'll be a very short one. See you soon.